we were having candlelight dinner, Don, what would you order? What would you be eating?
Well, now, do you ever, you're in New York, right?
Yes,
Have you ever gone to La Grenouille, the French restaurant?
I have not, but
Well,
my
La Grenouille,
ancestors, yeah.
La Grenouille is the best French restaurant in America. And I would go to La Grenouille and I would have sauteed chicken kidney in mustard sauce with a souffle and some side dishes and a couple of very good martinis and one glass of fabulous Pinot Noir wine, and that would be what I would have.
I would love that. I'm ready to go. So I
Check it up
recently
sometime.
I recently did my 23andMe, my ancestry.com, and I'm French, I'm Italian, I'm Welsh, I'm German, I'm everything, all American, right? We're all that's kind of what we are, right?
Definitely, of course.
um, so we're here to celebrate you and to just kind of talk about how exciting it is. It's the 50th anniversary.
Well, just to digress before I tell you that, I did the same thing, the
You did?
ancestry.
Are we related?
Yeah, well, we're not related,
We're
but
not? Shoot.
I found out I always thought my mother was Italian and my father is was Scottish.
Okay.
And my father's side panned out right, Scottish and English and Dutch and all that. But the mother's side ended up I was more Greek than I was Italian.
Wow.
So it sounded crazy. In other words, her family had a large, half of it was Greek. So I guess that counts for my Zorba the Greek nature sometimes.
There you go.
But
Whoosh, whoosh,
anyway,
whoosh.
yeah, dancing on tables and all that.
Well,
But
speaking of family, I had read, and maybe you can tell me if that story is correct or not, but that your sister actually helped you early on because she paid for some of the lessons that you
yes,
took.
yeah, my sister found a lady in New Rochelle. Her name was Frances Wagner. I'll never forget her. I was only 12 and lived in a little two-room apartment on Franklin Street uh, in New Rochelle. And all she had in her life was her cat. And she would feed her cat scallops. And it was her whole life, her cat.
Wow.
But she also taught prospective opera singers from the very beginning and had a number at the Metropolitan Opera. So she was a very interesting little lady. And so she worked with me for about 6 months, before my voice changed. And then when it changed, she said, "Well, come back when your voice has changed." And I never came back. But she taught me a lot about breath control and supporting a tone rather than singing from your throat. And I think that's why I can sing I'm 76 years old and I can sing. Everything I sing is still in all the same keys and it's all just like it was.
So she found and kind of honed what worked for you. And also because you had asthma, you were working on, I guess, the ability to breathe, and that also helped you.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. I was trying to learn a little bit about singing. I was just a dumb kid. But later on, I realized that what she told me was the way I wanted to go. So I sang in that way rather than trying to sing like Bob Dylan or trying to sing like Woody Guthrie, yeah, well, bye, bye, Miss American Pie, and do that kind of thing. I didn't want that. I wanted to sing, I wanted to hit the notes. And that was one of the chromatic scales we would do would be to work on hitting those notes right on.
Like
And
the me, that kind of stuff, those scales?
yes, But she would stop you if one of those mimes wasn't on the note. You'd go and do it 4 more times until you heard that it had to be, exactly on the note. So, and what I also learned was that the voice stretches and grows if you work it properly and you sing properly and you don't damage it. The voice is a muscle and it gets stronger and stronger. So if I'm on a tour and I come back after 31 nighters, I'll sing much better than when I went out.
Because it's warmed up, the throat's warmed. And
Well, you're exercising it.
Yeah.
It's lifting weights. Like a lot of opera singers, these are like the you might say the heavy weightlifters of the music world. They're the guys that lift 600 pounds or whatever the big number is. Okay, when they have a voice breakdown, they're done for like a year. Because they've pushed that voice to the point where it can do amazing things. But if they go too far, then they have to go way back. If I get a problem, I have to quit singing for a couple of weeks and it'll be okay.
And you're embarking on a major tour with more cities and more cities being added. That's because people absolutely love you. Your fan base, is extraordinary, Don. Like, here you were a young man, then you played at Carnegie Hall, and then you were doing your album and you were recording it, and there was crazy riots going on outside, and then you were like this underground, I would say overnight sensation. But that love for you, when I got a chance to tell a couple of people that I was going to be able to talk to you today, without a doubt, people were just like floored. They were so excited for me just to be able to talk to you because they love your music.
Thank you for saying that.
They do. Your fan base is so loyal.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's so nice.
You're welcome.
I've been a rambler. I really haven't been a serious merchandiser, which a lot of people who get very famous and they work very hard at merchandising and marketing and all that stuff. I just ramble. I rambled all over the world for many, many years. And
we got a brand new song here. I wrote it just a day or so ago. I hope I can remember the words. If I forget a few of them, I'll hope you forgive me. I hope you won't make me do it over. But it goes like this. A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance, I could make those people dance. Maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I deliver. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride. Something touched me deep inside the day. The music died. We were singing bye, bye, Miss American Pie. We shared it to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. Helter skelter in the summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. 8 miles high and fully fast, the landed foul on the grass. Players tried for a forward pass with a jester on the sidelines in a cast. And now the halftime air was sweet perfume while the sergeants played their marching tune. We all got up to dance. We never got the chance. The players trying to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall
good things would happen. I'd suddenly have a movie made about me, or I have somebody would put out a TV special, or but that's all I did. Just and now with YouTube, it's all accumulated out there, so you can go back, to 1968 with the first movie that was made about me, a movie called Till Tomorrow by a man named Robert Elfstrom, and you can see me singing in 1968 when I'm 23 years old, and just gotten out of college. Um, I wanted to go to college because my father wanted me to go to college, and he had never. So one thing he wanted, and he regretted the fact that he didn't have an education. And there was a time, because I quit school in 1964. When I was 17, I guess, or 18, and nothing was going on, for a while. And I said, I'm not going to waste this time and sort of hang around. I can do this other stuff, the music things, and still start to study. So I did both at once.
Was that Villanova? I'm sorry, I don't exactly remember. Where did
Yeah,
you
well,
end
that
up
was the
going?
first. That's the place my mother sent me. I didn't really
Okay.
want to go to college at
Okay.
that point.
Okay.
But in '65, I went to Iona College, which has done very well in the collegiate basketball realm. I've been noticing.
Oh, cool. Very, very cool. So also with the Vincent van Gogh thing that's happening, right? I don't know if you've been able to see the live exhibition that they've been doing of Vincent, but it's almost like a beautiful segue between your song, right? And this live experience that they're bringing. I don't know, it just seems like it's all coming together. I've always loved, well, all of your songs, but Vincent in particular, because I grew up and my grandfather was an artist and I loved to paint. And so that, so many of your songs mean so many things at different times in the journey. And everybody always asks you, and I know you've been asked a million times, what your lyrics mean, or what did this mean, or what did that mean? Do you feel it evolves over time, depending on
Well,
when somebody's
everything
hearing
is
it?
everything I do is extremely personal, and there's also a certain element of pain in a lot of what I do. The pain of loss, or uh, just I don't know. There's a lot of pain in life. I think people relate to the songs in a sense that way. But then on the other hand, I don't think that people now are really on a real self-realization journey.
Hmm.
I think they're now more on a I want to forget everything kind of journey when it comes to entertainment, and so they don't really want to look too deeply into the mysteries of life or anything like that. They just want to have fun and rock and roll and dance and whatever they do. Um, so I was the opposite of that. I was always holding on to thoughts and ideas, and wondering later on I would write a song about it, but I didn't even plan to write the song. It would just it had been sticking around in my head for years, and suddenly I'd find a use for it, you know. So that's, and my mind is like a big consignment store of some sort.
Well, it's
All
beautifully
sorts of.
curated. It's beautifully curated.
That's what it's like, though. Like, oh, that'll be a good idea for there, like, you get it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. In fact, our whole studio is like done in like a 1960s, 1970s thing. And a lot of times we have an old Woodstock poster here that's an actual Woodstock poster, right? And a lot of times our interns will come in and they'll look and we'll be like, we didn't buy that at the local store, right? It's like a consignment shop. These things are real. They have age, they have beauty, they have grace. And earlier tonight when we were talking about the Pinot Noir, like a fine wine, right? I feel like
You know
at
what's
this point in your
interesting?
age, right? Go ahead.
If you take a beautiful old federal home, let's say, somewhere in New England, and it's not painted, it's the paint is sort of coming off, and it's a little down on its luck, but it has so much elegance. It's like there's no mileage on a Rolls Royce, And it's the same with this. If you see one of these homes, all you know that if you bring in the carpenters and the painters, that thing is going to shine like the most beautiful thing you ever saw. You take a track home somewhere, and all you got to do is break off a piece of uh, the plastic siding, and the thing looks like hell. You know, everything can be fine, but if that's something's broken on it, it looks like hell because it's just not anything in that sense. It's home to somebody, and I don't want to get crosswise with anybody who thinks I don't appreciate home. I do, but I'm just saying from an architectural point of view and a point of view of, like you just said, it's like there's no mileage on a Rolls Royce. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can do 500,000 miles. It's class.
I was going to say, I don't want to make you blush, but your music is that. Your lyrics are that. Your songs are that. They're quality. It's just something so pure that at the
Thank you.
essence of it, and your voice. I know you said that you're a little older now than you were when you first started it, but when you
That's a
sing those songs, your voice is beautiful. You still
It's one of
hit
the
those
nicest
notes.
things anybody. It's one of the nicest things anybody ever said to me.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Thank
It
you.
it was heartfelt and real.
I've tried very hard to be as pure as possible. That's been my goal throughout my life: singing, writing, thinking. I never wanted to sing a song I didn't believe in. I never wanted to write a word or a sentence that I didn't believe in. And like I say, I just have had to kind of fight along the way to get record companies to put records out to the way I wanted them and not have them try to make me into something that I'm not. And a lot of big executives in the music business know how I sing, and they would say, well, this guy, all we have to do is give him hit songs and he's going to be the biggest star around. I didn't want to sing that stuff. I have other things I wanted to do.
You
And
wanted
I'd
to
rather
say
sing
things.
Tapestry about the
Yeah.
environment or
Yeah.
something like that.
That makes so much sense now, sitting here and listening to you explain that, because you're absolutely right. What you're doing is you're really storytelling. You're a great storyteller and you're emoting that with your audience. It's like an interaction. And if somebody just hands you a piece of music, but it's not soulful for you, it doesn't make any difference to you. You'd rather use your voice for what it's meant for.
Well, the old days, they had producers, they had singers, they had record companies with A&R people. And in the 60s, then everything changed. People started making their own movies, Easy Rider and all that. People were getting, and all this talent emerged, that didn't come through the studio system. And the same with the music business. I made American Pie with Ed Freeman, with these other people, but I wrote the songs, did the arrangements, did the singing, had the idea, but a lot of other people added so much to it that made it even better than I had hoped for. But it was coming from my brain. And so that's the burden that was on all the singer songwriters coming along in those days, or the groups. Those songs and those albums were from their brains, and it wasn't like in the old days where Frank Sinatra would swing into the studio. He had, Sammy Kahn and Jimmy Van Heusen and all the people come, Carolyn Lee, hey, Frank, here's a great song for you. How about that? Yeah, I like that one. Okay, we'll do that one. And then we get, what arranger, what studio you're going to be at? Oh, yeah. And what arranger we got? Billy May? Oh, yeah, that's fine for that stuff. Let's go. So, so that's how they did it. And he knew a quality record was going to come out of that, because if he had a swinging song and Billy May and the Capitol guys and all the greatest players in Los Angeles and him and the engineers, it was going to be fabulous. But in our day, we didn't have any of that. I didn't know what studio to use. I didn't know any of that stuff. That stuff's all got to be thought out.
Yes.
You see, so when Sinatra walked in the studio, the Capitol Records studio had the best engineers. They knew that room. They knew the echo system and everything to get the sound. There was no figuring it out. In the 60s, guys would go weeks trying to find a bass part or a drum part, weeks trying to figure things out, because they were all making it up as they went along.
When you're touring now, the players that you're bringing with you, have
Yeah.
you all kind of been in the same ensemble for a while?
Oh, I have like an extended family of musicians that have been around the world with me, probably a dozen. And I only take 4 with me. But there's a drummer for the other drummer and several guitar players and a couple of bass players. And there's only one Tony Migliori, and that's my main man. He's been with me for almost 40 years.
Wow.
He does my string arrangements. He does any kind of conducting if we do symphonies. He's the guy, the musical director, and he's always with me on piano.
Now, your first guitar,
But,
Don, had a starburst on it. Now, do you still own that, or has that been long gone?
say that again?
Your first guitar,
Oh, the first guitar.
had like a starburst on it. Do you still have that, or what kind of guitar do you most play now? What brand?
Well, the first thing I had was a ukulele, and I still have that ukulele.
You
from
do?
when I was like in the 5th grade. Yeah, I have that.
Do you ever play
the next?
Tiny Tim's like tiptoe through the tulips?
Let me tell you something. You go to Hawaii, and
Yeah.
ukulele is a serious instrument. They play ukulele in a way that we don't know anything about. It's a serious instrument.
I hope you'll bring it back out.
It's a beautiful instrument too.
I hope you bring it back
but
out.
I don't
That
think
would
I will. But
maybe I don't know. It might be nice. All of a sudden, after a few songs, all of a sudden you bring that
well,
old
it's
ukulele with
it's
you.
fun to have. It's fun to have on records because it's a nice little rhythm instrument you can blend in. I tell you that. That and the 4-string guitar. But my first 2 guitars were harmony guitars, and then I discovered Martin guitars, and my dream guitar was my first guitar in 1963, which was a D28 Martin guitar, Brazilian rosewood, and all through the 60s I used that. It got stolen in 1969.
Really? Well, maybe we can get an investigator, and maybe somebody can find it, like stolen art. You never know.
I sincerely doubt that.
Okay, it's always worth a try. I'm the eternal optimist. If you haven't discovered in our conversation, I'm always
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I always look for the light.
There's no future in negativity. There's no
go.
point in being negative.
So I wake up every
There
day
is
and I'm thankful.
It is a point, though. There is a point in being truthful, and sometimes being truthful comes off as being negative because you're saying something that's not what everybody else is saying, but you're not doing it to be negative. You're doing it to say something honest about something. People don't get that a lot of times. They don't get that. They would like everyone to go along and have everything be harmonious. So most of the time, if I have an alternative thought, I won't even say it. Because I don't want to be raining on anybody's parade.
But maybe you could do both in a song. Are you still writing? Are you writing anything like currently?
Yeah, I have a new album actually called American Boys, which is just about finished. It's all new songs.
Wow.
And it's going to come out sometime this year.
Great. And when it does, if you would have the time, I'd love to celebrate that with you again, and maybe talk about some of those new. It's good. They're going to be hits.
I'd love to do that.
Wait.
We've got a children's book coming out. We've got a documentary movie called The Day the Music Died, the story of Don McLean's American Pie. which will be on Viacom is doing it.
Nice.
And then we're going to have a new album, which is all done, American Boys. And then I'll be, traveling and touring and being interviewed. I think interviews are important. I don't see them as something to just promote something. I see having access to the airwaves as a moment to get some small truths out about one thing or another. So I don't see it as, oh, I got to mention this and that and the other thing and blah, 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 and just be all PR. I see it as an opportunity to communicate with people.
You're going to make me cry because I was a little nervous today because I know you've done millions of interviews, and I thought, wow, what if I just sat down with him and we just talked? And I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity to just really visit with you. I feel like we were at the French restaurant, that we were just sitting down talking. but you're
well, that's
right.
how it should be, because you never know what ideas are going to pop out. I mean, that's the whole idea of the great Greek philosophers, Socrates. He acquired deeper knowledge of things, a lot of times obvious things, by asking questions and having a dialogue back and forth. And that's one of the bad things about, the way records are made now, is that people aren't even in the studio. They'll send in their guitar part via the computer, or the drum part, or everything else is all done, and they're not there. So you don't have these guys in a room all looking at you. A lot of times I would be in a room in the studio with some of the heaviest musicians ever, and these guys are looking at you like, okay, what you got? What do you got, man? I'm here, I'm ready. What do you have? That's pressure. So you knew how to prepare to go into the studio because, okay, here's what I've got. Let's go, But with the way it's now, it's like, oh, well, I won't do that. I'll do it after dinner, or, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No.
And you don't get that Socratic interplay, so something new happens. That's my thought for the day.
You're just awesome. I could hang out with you all day long, and I know that you have other people to speak with today.
Yeah, I think we're all done. I think we're running out of time now.
We did, but shh, don't tell anybody, and we won't be in trouble. Okay, we'll be okay. I'll cover for you. You cover for me. Yeah, Don McLean.
I won't tell anybody. I promise.
We were just having such a good time, right? Thank you so much. Continued happiness on your journey.
Thank you.
From my heart to your heart, I'm sending you a big old kiss and hug. And
beautiful. Thank you. What a nice interview. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Happiness to you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.